higher conscious living.
Good.
So
We would agree with all of that and more.
my questions to you would be, why did you choose Santa Monica as a place to base Premier Research Lab and
Well,
the center?
Premier Research Lab is not here.
Right.
This is a clinic.
The center
here.
is here.
Yeah, the Premier Center. And I chose this because I believe this is the Mecca. And I had for many years been in Torrance, California, because I was raising my children in Palos Verdes, which I felt was a much better neighborhood than even around here for the kids to grow up. But now that they're grown, I thought it would make sense to move over here.
Because you felt
And
like
this
it was the
wonderful
health
building was available, this little island in the sun here. And it's particularly nice because I've been able to set up an apartment in the back for myself.
That's wonderful.
So when I come here, there's no commute.
That's great.
And you know how bad that is. Huh?
I do. Fortunately, I only live a block from here,
So
so.
you know exactly how bad it is.
So
Okay.
how do you feel the company stands for sustainability and higher conscious living?
Well, if you travel the world, not watching American television, and you hear what the media has to say about America, we could start with British Broadcasting in their Sunday Night Panorama series, and they refer to America with one word about our agriculture: unsustainable. And they don't recommend investing because sooner or later this has to go away or we have to change. Now, Europe has been sustainable for almost 600 years. If you travel Southeast Asia, they say of America, the spoiled child. Everywhere they go, they make a mess and never clean it up. So I'm involved in plasma arc technology so that trash will be turned to power, zero atmospheric waste, and no landfill. Okay? And we're very far along. In fact, this Thursday I go out to see the full operating unit being certified at UC Riverside. So I'm very excited about that. That's a little divergent from here, but the funds I've earned have gone into investing in that. Here I feel that we're trying to bring back a consciousness that you are part of this earth, not separate from this earth. And one of the things that's happened to us, we put clothes on. And so now we don't think we're like a dog or a cat or a lion or a tiger. We're different, see? And we're not different. We have to eat, we sleep, we have to excrete. And these things need to be in harmony with the environment, and they're not. And we have devastated the food supply. First, with white flour and white sugar. And we just see, since 1940 to 2001, an 80% reduction in male sperm motility in the U.S., not around the world, in the U.S. And you can link it right back to putting rock forms of iron, synthetic rock forms of iron, in our synthetic garbage white flour. So the two things I always say on the radio: if you want this machine to work right, you can't give it make-believe food. That's white flour and white sugar. And if you do, all you can have is make-believe health. Okay? So returning to a consciousness of what you eat, returning to a consciousness of you're a part of the environment, so you shouldn't be making a mess. And it's a little tragic that we're in a big to-do here over plastic bags. You know, here's the problem, and here's the solution. It's really very sad. The solution needs to be that we ought to all have a patio growing something that you eat.
I do that.
And remember, I said we devastated ourselves health-wise. Number one was white flour and white sugar. Number two was synthetic fertilizer, NPK. See, we're different. We don't have to follow the rules of nature. So we can get this plant to grow big quickly with a synthetic fertilizer. Yeah, we can. But it's an empty harvest. And now we become the grand experiment in what goes wrong when you don't have all these nutrients. What a nightmare. So you are not in sustainable living. You are so far from it. So now what we're going to do is keep growing the food this way and take a whole bunch of supplements. Oh my God. But they're not gonna be supplements that are really good for you. I'm gonna put a little of this in it, a little of that in it. I'm gonna have all kinds of chemicals, and I'm gonna tell you it's good for you. And I'm gonna tell you there's no side effects. Whenever you go in a health food store, nothing is ever wrong. Everything is perfect. Wow. This is a tragedy. And see, again, it's not sustainable. If we are gonna use a supplement, it should be some kind of a whole food concentrate.
I completely
It
agree.
should be exquisitely well grown without NPK, okay? And then to top off NPK, if it isn't bad enough, and the tragedy of this is 1953, we knew this, and that is the use of pesticides and herbicides. We knew in 1953 that when an insect attacks a plant, it's because it's emitting, it's releasing methane or ammonia. Now, J.I. Rodale in Organic Gardening in 1953 did an 8mm video, and in that he walks into a cotton field, and the infestation is so bad that 15 feet from him, in bright sunlight, you cannot see. That's how the insects are. And he's brought a brown paper bag. Now, most people would think there's booze or something else in a brown paper bag. He's got this organic cotton plant that's in this perfect soil. And he walks up and puts it down, okay? And you just watch this huge arc of clearance in the insects.
Amazing.
Because this is disgusting to them. This is not what they came for. And the purpose of that insect is to eat a plant that if you ate it, it could hurt you. So what we've done, sprayed the plant with a pesticide that kills the pest, because the pest needs 80 times its weight in water in a day. So we use a phosphate, an organophosphate or an organochloride, and this kills them off. And it's a little poison for you. So over time, we're have another grand experiment in what kind of cancer or what kind of heart disease or what kind of illness you're going to get. But you're completely out of touch with green living. You aren't even remotely close. And when I see people trying to put up a building that's green, I immediately think, you know, here's your solution, here's your problem.
Right.
And so how are we green? We're green by saying everybody should grow something. And we've been intensely researching what are the materials we should use so we don't need NPK. What kind of seeds should we use? And we're just now getting ready to release these because my fantasy is I put myself out of business. You don't need all my supplements.
That's wonderful.
That's my fantasy. And I think it's going to be a long time coming because we are so entrenched. And I have 100 acres in which I'm experimenting to try to get farming methods with non-chemicals to compete sales-wise with the products that are being sold now as an empty harvest, big and beautiful but dead, and even far better than the current organic. See, much of the organic is still being grown with NPK,
Right.
as you know.
Yes, I do.
It just doesn't have a pesticide. Whoop-de-doo. It's, if you were batting, that would be 1 out of 2. That'd be pretty good, I guess.
Well,
So,
it sounds like we share similar viewpoints about how the big problem is that we just don't see how we reflect nature and how
No, we
nature
don't.
reflects in ourselves as a big part of the problem. But thank you, Dr. Marshall, for answering the 2 questions on the blog for West Side Story New Paradigm.
good.
And you can cut there, Ethan.